Well, good evening. My name is Benjamin Hatfield. I am your instructor tonight. I will be supervising and making sure you guys are squared away and excited about scuba. Who's excited to learn how to dive? Man, I don't feel it though. Who's excited to learn how to dive? Yay! There we go. Give me fives. I am a big high five and positive reinforcement guy. So you will get a lot of high fives. You'll get a lot of OKs out of me. I think I already got you, but just in case. So you'll get a lot of that from me. I believe firmly in the positive reinforcement. So if you suck, I won't say you suck directly. Yeah, I will actually, but I'll be polite about it at least. The good news is this is a really exciting, fun thing, and I kind of want to knock a couple things out of the way first. This is a pain-free sport. If we go too fast for you or you're not feeling good about something, I'm going to give you a first hand and arm signal. Today is going to be stop. Just put the hand straight out in front of you. Stop, and let me know that something's going on because I want to make sure that you're enjoying life, that you're having a good time, that this is the most thrilling, exciting thing you've ever done while vertical or sober. Just kidding. Hopefully you're too young for sober. So we want to make sure this is a fun and amazing class for you. So my qualifications teach this. I am a dive master instructor, soon to be an assistant instructor trainer. I'm also a technical and extended range instructor, which means I'm the highest level and highest diving instructor you can find with about 400 or 500 miles of here. So for myself, I love to dive. I think this year I'm somewhere around 150 dives already this year. And that's non-training dives. That's just my wife and I doing what we love doing and just diving. So we dive a lot. At some point through this class, you'll probably meet my wife. She's far better than I deserve and a far better instructor than I'll probably ever be, but she's amazing. Her name is Nikki. She's out of town this week, so you'll probably see her next week. We also have today David, a dive master, who is fantastic and I'm extremely proud of. I brought him up out of open water just like you guys. And I want you guys to realize as we go through this, there'll be real photos of me and my family or my instructors. They are real photos. We started exactly where you started now. We didn't start out as dive professionals. We started out as noobs, trying to figure out life and figure out what it was like to float and breathe underwater just like you. So I actually sat in chairs in the other older, smaller, yuckier, older shop, which was much hotter and not nearly as cool as this, but we sat in the same chairs and learn the same process. So that's my experience and my ability to teach this. Josh, if you go to the next slide. As you guys go through this journey with me, I want you guys to be very vocal, be very involved with me. Because if you're not involved, we're not having fun. I need to know what you're thinking because I leave my thinking cap and my mind reading hat at home, and I'm not really good at that. So please let me know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what's going on with you guys. And I also want you to think about where this exciting journey of diving is going to take you. What do you want that to look like? Where do you want to go with that? What kind of diving do you want to do? There's all kinds of neat and amazing diving out there. My favorite kind of diving is multifold. I like to do what's called technical diving, which basically means that I take everything I'm going to teach you with staying within these magic limits. I wad them up in a ball and I throw them away, and I dive for as long as I can carry tanks. So I like big, long dives, deep dives, 175, 195 foot dives, 200 foot dives, very deep, cool stuff like that, carrying lots of gas, lots of heavy tanks because I'm a glutton for punishment, carrying lots of heavy stuff for intentionally. I don't know why. I also love caves. Caves is one of my favorite things. They're just amazing to dive in. It's very surreal, and I like art, geological life as well. So we dive a lot of Yellowstone Lake, which is amazing. So I also like deep wrecks or wrecks overall. So I have a good time doing that kind of stuff and having fun with that kind of stuff. So that's my kind of diving. But there's all kinds of cool diving out there. As you guys kind of look through this, here's all the specialty crap that I can teach. I teach everything from ice diving all the way through navigation, science, deep diving, nitrox, marine ecologies, dog avoidance, just kidding, marine mammals. I teach scuba rangers. I had a scuba ranger out this afternoon. So all kinds of cool stuff. So think about what kind of diving you want to do. Do you want to see wrecks? Do you want to see coral? Do you want to dive at night and see cool things at night? Think about that. And as we go through this, I'm going to ask you, what does that look like to you? So I want you guys to be excited with me on this process. These are all things that I can teach all the way through the XR extended range. And then I also have cool things like I have the Platinum 1000 diver and Marine Guide and all kinds of other weird crap like that you don't care about at this point. But these are pictures That's my wife in a cave. We were about 104 feet down in a cave, having a good time. And then over here, this is when I actually became an instructor a while ago. This was my instructor class as well. And this is, I don't know, some random lake somewhere. You'll find most lakes are green. It just is what it is. Next slide, please. Joining us today, Dive Master Aaron. And Dive Master Aaron will be joining us at some point, maybe Wednesday, most likely next Monday and next Wednesday as well. Aaron actually has more time underwater than I do. I've only got about 3,000 dives. Aaron has a lot more than that, and he was a commercial diver. Really fun guy, and I just love having him as one of our instructors as well. Next slide, please. Fun things you can do. I teach ice diving. This is one of the weird things you'll find as you get deeper into scuba diving. You'll find that the humor gets goofier and the desire to do weird things becomes higher. I'm not going to actually watch you make this video, but this is me and a student actually getting in the ice. There's about 18 inches of ice. This is out at Ryrie Reservoir where you guys will be getting certified. Good news is there's no ice there right now. So next slide, please. So here's how I'm going to teach you guys. I'm going to teach you called the Diver Diamond. This is an SSI thing, Scuba Schools International, our certifying agency based out of Germany. And the first thing is I'm going to try and force some knowledge into you and get you that information of how does this work? What is happening with you? How does it go together? How do you put the gear together? How do you? I'm going to build all that knowledge. We're going to go out in the pool. We're going to play. We're going to get some skills going, right? And build up a little bit of skills. I'm going to teach you about the equipment. And then SSI talks about experience. But for me, experience is twofold. The first one is I'm going to give you guys experience in dive gear, right? So that you feel comfortable in the water, that you feel comfortable that eventually you're going to jump off a boat somewhere, I'm hoping. But I feel like you should have a good experience. It should be fun as well, that you should enjoy this class. And if you're not enjoying this class, then get the hell out. No, I'm just kidding. Please let me know what I can do to improve, because I want you guys to have a great experience doing it. Because if you have a great experience doing this, out in the ocean is way better. I promise you, it's amazing. So I want you to have that good experience so that when you get ready to jump off that dive boat or climb through the shore to get to a great ocean dive or river dives or lake dives or wherever you decide to dive, that you have a great experience because you're like, man, that guy Benjamin was amazing. I had so much fun. So that's my goal. Please help me get you there. Next slide, please. So here's how it works. We're going to start your training. We're going to do some water session. We're going to learn some skills, develop some ability. We're going to review some more skills. We're going to do some more water. And we're going to increase your confidence. I'm going to review some more skills. We're going to do some water sessions. I'm going to invoke some conditioned response. That's called muscle memory. And eventually, we're going to have another water session, and you're going to become a safe diver, whether you like it or not. I'm just kidding. So we're going to do it through repetition. We're going to do the same thing over and over and over again. Now, your second hand and arm signal for the day is going to be this. What do you think I'm asking with this? Are you okay? Absolutely. Now, is that a question or a statement? It's a question, absolutely. So I've asked a question, what do I expect in response? Absolutely. So I will do this a lot. You will get tired of it. But I'm asking a question every single time. There you go. Woo-hoo! So I want to see you respond to it. And some of it is I'm looking at your eyes to get an idea where you're at. Are you scared? Are you comfortable? What's going on? Because I want to make sure that you're having a good experience. So we'll ask that a lot. My dive masters will ask that a lot. I'll ask it even more. You'll see it hundreds and hundreds of times. Please don't get annoyed. The idea is I just want to know where you're at. And there's a lot of things I'll be able to tell just by looking at you and asking the okay symbol, right? I can tell body language. I can tell amount of air you're going through. I can tell by your eyes what's going on. So I have a lot of experience that I've seen every level of from comfort to, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I've seen that. It's not fun, but we got that actually finished certifying that person too. Next slide, please. So core standards, what do I expect from you? I expect that before next class, everybody will have downloaded the My SSI app on your phone, please. You'll have logged in and you'll have done your homework. If you guys could, please, 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 before Wednesday, if you could be through chapter 4 for me, before next Monday, if you could have all 6 chapters done. Now, the good news is on that is it shouldn't take you more than an hour to do all 6 chapters. Watch the videos. I know they're a little gooby. I get it. today we're going to learn. I get it, right? I've watched them too. So I get how, but there's a lot of great information. So watch the videos, take the tests. Here's the really great news for you guys. There are 6 tests in the app or on the online. It's all the same thing. The questions are the same. If it takes you one time to get through them and you get them all right the first time, amazing. You're a superstar. I won't know how many times it took you to take. If it takes you 50 times to get through, fantastic. You're a superstar. You passed. I still don't know how many times it took you to take the test. I don't get a report on that. Nobody's going to judge you on that. The only way I'll ever know is if you come to me and say, hey, Benjamin, by the way, I sat down last night. I did the test 152 times. We might have a little talk, but I promise I won't judge you. Absolutely. If come to me and say, hey, I really wanted to make sure I understood it, because I'm the same way. I'm actually working on a very advanced instructor course right now. And I have gone through and done, now my pre-test on that was 200 questions. And I've gone through and done the pre-test 3 times to make sure that I'm really got the knowledge done. And then I've done all the chapter quizzes and the final exam several times as well, because I want to make sure that I do it and get it great. So we're going to go through. So if you would please go ahead and upload a pretty face shot of you in the computer. If it's a picture of your dog, your kid, the floor, your race car, whatever cool things, I can't issue a certification on that. I have to see your face. It could be somebody kissing you. I know somebody that has a picture of a dolphin kissing them, but I can see their face. So please upload a headshot. I require you to participate in class. So I will ask everybody questions. I will put out scenarios for you as well for you guys to think about. But I require that you guys utilize the most important tool you guys possibly bring with you today, and that's the gray matter between your ears. So there's going to be 4 academic sessions, 4 pool sessions, and 4 open water dives, plus a snorkeling skills. We're going to go through equipment assembly. You've got to pass the final exam with an 80%. Now, it's not the final exam that gets everybody. It's the 3-hour essay questions. Those are really, there's no essay, I'm just kidding. But the good news is what we always do with our final exam is we'll actually read the whole exam together. We'll read all the answers and we'll answer them together. And then I will hand you a paper. You can do the test again and write all the answers out correctly. I will step away, and if you do your homework, if you listen in class, I promise you, you will not fail the final exam. It's pretty hard. And we add that extra level that we'll go through and make sure that we've read all the questions. There's going to be no surprises here. In fact, through my presentations, you'll find that I actually put the questions out there for you. And must have fun, or else we need to figure something else out. Next slide, please. So here's what the My SSI app looks like. If you look at it, up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a nice little thing, a little gear. There is also a QR code reader and scanner. After you guys do your dives, it's really slick. You can click that on, and you can scan and verify all your dives at one time. So that's what that is a QR scanner reader. You'll get messages from time to time from SSI. They also have a challenge going right now to the end of August that every time you log a dive in your My SSI app, you get a chance to win Mario's computer, some masks, or the grand prize is a liveaboard. And if you don't know what a liveaboard is, you should. It's amazing. 7 days on a boat. You get up in the morning, you have some breakfast, and you go diving. And you get out, and you eat, and you talk to the people, and you go dive. And then you get out of the water, and you eat, and you look at the ocean, then you go dive. And then you come back out, and you do something else, and take a nap, and then you go dive. And it's pretty much you eat, sleep, and dive on a boat in the middle of amazing, in the Caribbean, right? Sweet. As you guys look at this, there's 4 little buttons over here. The first one over here is your dive log. Up here is your logged dive sites, awards, where you're definitely gamification, dive statistics, and then down here at the bottom you'll find your courses along the bottom. So go ahead and click the next slide for me, please. So here's how we get to do our headshot. Simple enough. You're going to go into that little gear. You're going to hit personal data, scroll down, edit profile picture. You can do a little headshot while you're sitting in the shop. Bam. Just that easy. Next slide. And if you wouldn't mind, just don't forget to go over to sync and settings, scroll all the way to the bottom and hit sync all. After you've done all your homework, please do that, because the app and the server, they're not always the best of friends. So hitting that synchronize all is definitely to your advantage. Next slide, please. Other things to be aware of, once you go into dive courses in that lower left, it'll have a nice little progress bar here for you. You want all pretty green bars across the process, and that's what it's going to look like. Just simply load the program for mobile. You can add no video or video. I like the videos. Watch the videos and go through the course. It's really pretty basic stuff. Anybody that's at least younger than 75 should be able to do this. My mom can do this, so, and my mom's pretty tech unsavvy. So anyway, next slide, please. All right, we are not going to watch this, for the love of God, no. Unless anybody is really into the 15-minute safety videos, we can certainly watch it. But anybody watch the 15-minute monotone safety video? It's about like health class. No? Okay, next slide. So if you wouldn't mind connecting with the SSI Dive Network through the app, it's really fun stuff. There's free courses that'll come up for you. There's rules, there's charts, there's all kinds of cool stuff in the app. It's designed to make you a better diver and help you. By the way, this is my crew. I'm on the left. That is my older son, Brandon. He is 30. My daughter next to him in the pink mask, and then my wife on the end. This was in Florida about 2 years ago on Christmas Eve. Diving is a fun activity. If you can do it with family and friends and your kids, it's amazing. It really is amazing. So my favorite times are, I actually certified my son. My wife and I met diving, so it can be definitely a life passion. So, course standards. SSI program steps. Study the manuals and videos at homes, complete the academic reviews, reduce some pool sessions, and complete the open water training dives. Now, here's the proof that we all start off somewhere, and I was twice the goober you guys will ever be. This was my open water certification dive. This was me, my first session in the pool, and that's me on my open water dive. So, we all start somewhere. This is where I started. Yes, I was a big goober when I first started, but I loved it. It's a lot of fun. So I like to throw that out there. And as we look at it, we notice, I'm going to teach you guys, don't put your mask on your forehead. It's bad. It means I'm in distress. It's something that we look for as instructors, so that it proves that I didn't know shit from Shinola. Can I say that on YouTube? Whatever, I don't care. Anyway, but that's where I started. So next slide. Now, here's my deal. I'm a retired Marine, so I live on one and one principle only: honesty always. If you guys wouldn't mind, we live and die by referrals. If you think we're awesome, please go to Facebook and Google, give us a review, and say we're awesome. If you think I suck, that's fine. You won't hurt my feelings. I've got very thick skin, but say that. Just whatever you do, give us a review of actually how you felt through this course and what you thought. Just be honest. That's all I can ever ask of anybody. So, next slide. So, class participation time. What is your expectation from this class? Let's start with you. What's your expectation? What comes?
I mean, I want to be a diver, and I want to, so there you go. So I expect to be certified.
I'll take it. I like it. What do you do for work? What's your day job?
So I own a business.
Nice. That's awesome. You kind of struck me as that kind of caring individual that actually gave a crap about other people. I like it. How about you, Tiger? What's your expectation?
I think I just want to know how to scuba dive and how to scuba dive well. So far, if I get it in a situation, it could be dangerous, that I would know what to do at all times.
I like it. All the information you can have. How about you, sweet Lily?
I think my expectation is
Nice. How many people in your family?
6, but my oldest sister can't do it.
Nice. You're being the older sister. That's always the goal. How do I become better than the older sibling? Absolutely. How about you, sweetheart?
I am the oldest sibling, so nobody in my family dies. So
There you go. You get to be the starting point. Trailblazer. I like it.
Confident and safe in the water.
I like it. How about you, hon?
Make my life easier.
Okay.
I plan on going to marine biology, so this just gets out of the way.
This starts at absolutely. I like it. I like marine biology. That's awesome. How about you, hon?
Learn how to dive safely and
You bet. So let me tell you the biggest secret. Here's what I'm actually going to teach you. You ready for this? I mean, I don't tell anybody this. This is just for you guys and YouTube, apparently. I'm going to teach you guys to do nothing. Swear to God. That is all I'm trying to teach you. when we go to the ocean, my wife and I, every time we dive, I promise you, we're always the first one off the boat and we're the last one on the boat. And here's what ends up happening. We get down and we focus on this square foot of ocean. And when we figure we really understand this square foot of ocean, we move to this square foot of ocean. And we really figure out how we understand that, we go to the next one. Now, what ends up happening with all the other divers? They want to see the whole daggum ocean in one freaking dive. They are like freaking Michael Phelps. They're like, I'm like, bye guys. But here's what's cool. At the end of our dives, we get back on and we always have our camera with us, and we'll hear somebody across from us say, hey, I saw a turtle. And this other person, oh, I saw an eel. And then finally, my wife and I are pretty quiet. We just talk about ourselves, and we have a good communication underwater, so we communicate really, really well underwater. So by the time we get back to the dive boat, we've already said most of what we're going to say. People say, well, what did you see? And well, we saw 7 eels, 12 turtles, 3 or 4 nudibranches, a bunch of coral shrimp, saw 2 sharks, landed on a ray. And they're like, well, how did you see so much? And we're like, we looked. We stopped. We did nothing. We focused on this. And we saw this. And we focused on that. We didn't have the need to try and see the whole damn ocean in one freaking dive. I'm going to teach you guys to do nothing. And love it. So that's my goal, to teach you to do nothing and enjoy it. Blow some bubbles, get some Zen. I call it my Zen time. You'll see, and David has seen me do this more than once. We go out to get ready to do our drop. Zen. You'll see it. I've even got a slide in here. What I'm asking you to do at this point, when I do this, stop. I want you to get your brain right. The first thing is relax. Whatever happened yesterday, whatever's going to happen tomorrow, don't matter. What's happening is right here in front of you. There's no sharks going to eat you. There's no boogeyman down there. Get this right first. Once you get this right first, once you get your breathing right, get the nice, oh yeah. You almost, I think, I always think the cool runnings. Yo, come on, yeah. You always want to get that kind of breathing going, right? And the last thing is, I want you to just take your body and go, just relax all your muscles. And then you're ready to go down. And what you'll see a lot of times when I do my dives, we'll get down to when we're getting ready to take off, I'll stop you. We'll be at 30, 40, 50, 60 feet. Stop. Get your brain right. Get your breathing right. Get your body right. You'll see me do it. I absolutely do it. 3,000 dives later, I still go, yeah. Oh, man. So that's what I'm going to teach you to do. Relax out. Do nothing. How about you, big guy? What are you looking for out of this?
I want to explore.
Explore. What do you want to explore?
I have a lot of opportunities with friends that went out that had their certifications and I didn't. So, all the way from ocean to lake.
Nice. I dig it.
Lots of fishing pool to find.
We're going to find it. I can't tell you how many fishing poles I have found over the course of time. How about you, Tiger?
Yeah, I just want to find some courage in diving so that I can stay out there for a bunch of time instead of for 15 seconds.
We can find that. One of the things I can tell you, my wife is absolutely amazing, and she's, again, far better than I could ever deserve. When my wife is an architect, and she's quiet. You'd swear to God she was the school librarian. She's just a very quiet, very timid, kind of sounding person. But I can tell you absolutely, scuba diving took my wife, and she is the bravest person I know. She is an absolute unicorn mermaid and amazing. I've seen her jump off a back of dive boats in 6-foot wake seas that you shouldn't have to get off in. I've seen her dive in 110 feet in caves. She ice dives with me, and I can absolutely tell you that the confidence that builds up from scuba diving is amazing. The self-confidence of being able to say, I just did that. Life is good. So confidence is definitely a big thing. So what is your expectations from me as your instructor? By the way, these are all pictures. That's me with some sharks. That shark actually crashed into me about 3 or 4 times. So did that one. They're just lemons and silkies, but they're 8 to 12 feet long, and yes, they crash into about that hard. More sharks, my wife with a turtle, me under the ice, and then my beautiful wife. So you guys get to see a lot of my wife. What is your expectation of me and my assistants?
Expect that Um,
Okay, I'll take it. How about you? What's your expectation of me and my instructors?
That you'll be able to teach us so that we are certified.
Absolutely. I will give you one secret. David, do I ever rubber stamp anybody? I will not sign your paperwork unless I feel that you are ready. Now, ready is a relative term in that I don't quit on you. The only time somebody doesn't pass my class is when they quit on themselves. Absolutely. And I have a couple deals that I'll make with you guys. You guys want my deal of the month? If you take a class from me and you want to come back and audit that class again at any time, call me, text me, email me. Don't send smoke signals, so I don't usually get those. But you can come back and audit any class with me at any time again, no charge. All you got to do is, if we go out in open water, you have to pay for your gas. I'm not going to pay for your gas on that, but you can come back and do any class that you do with me again as much as you want. And I post it to YouTube so you can watch it again. I want you to have fun, but I want you to be strong, efficient divers. I will not let you out of open water with a signature unless I feel comfortable. Now, it's extremely rare for me not to get somebody to a point of feeling comfortable, but it does happen from time to time. And I do have students that I ask to please, would you consider coming to another class so we can certify you through that. I have no problem with that. It doesn't cost anything extra, but I want you to be, I have a rule of thumb that I'm hard and fast and will not break. I will only sign your certificate. I will never sign your death certificate. Because if one of you has an accident, the first thing that's going to happen is Dan Insurance is going to come investigate. And then they're going to say, who was your certifier? And they're going to come to me and say, what the hell happened? I haven't had one yet. I don't plan on having one anytime soon. So I won't rubber stamp you, but I will give you all the information you need. I'll be very thorough on that, and I'll make sure you're taken care of. Fair enough? How about you, sweetheart? What's your expectation of my dive guides and myself?
I'll be ready by.
We will do our dead level best. I have no doubt that you look like you're a fantastic swimmer and you're going to do terrific. So I have a feeling we'll get you there, but we'll get you, we'll do everything we can. How about you?
I would love to be able to.
There is no dumb questions. Other than, well, why does a private go to sleep in general quarters, and why does general sleep in private quarters? That might be, but yeah, I don't know. What do you park on a driveway, drive on a parkway? I don't know. If we keep it scuba related, there are no dumb questions. How about you?
Chill but informative.
We're going to work on that, absolutely. How about you?
Just to just
Perfect. David, you ever heard me yell at anybody? I don't. I raise my voice enough to be heard from a distance, but I've never yelled at anybody. And I don't think you ever see me even mad. No, I'm just not that guy. It takes a lot to tip my boat. So my goal is to make sure that you have the best experience that you want. And I say again? I get sassy, absolutely. I get sarcastic. I have fun and try and tell my bad jokes. They're all dad jokes. I get it. Laugh with me anyway. It gets you extra credit. No, it doesn't really. But let's have fun. And to give you an idea, we also have Steven Smith over here, former Marine. And we have Ryan, best bagel maker in the Pacific Northwest. So if you haven't gone to Teton Bagels, there's your shout out. Hey, always try to take care of you. We're coming over to see you tomorrow after Bear World, so my family's in town. We were going to come today, but we had a sickness in the family. We had a 4-year-old throw up in the car, and we're like, oh, okay, perfect. Well, we would have missed you anyway, so. So there we go. So we're going to come over and see Teton Bagels over in Rigby. Amazing bagels. What's your expectation of me?
I want to be able to understand all the subsystems and respect them.
Subsystems. Are you a computer programmer or?
Yeah.
I
How'd you know that?
psychic. Yeah. Only programmers talk in that kind of language. What do you expect of me?
Okay, so there's like two different teachers. There's like a nice one and a mean one. I want you to be like the nice one, not like the one who's yelling at you and snapping at you and like, oh, and like do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that, all of that, by just yelling at you.
Okay, I will absolutely be the nice teacher. How about that? I can promise you. I think Brian and Steven over there will kind of back me up. I'm terrifying. He's a mean guy. I try and have fun. My overall goal is let's have fun, right? Life's short. All right, next slide, please. Course standards. If you guys would, I'm going to go through and have you guys reach each statement. So let's start with Mr. Computer Programmer.
Dive within the limits of my ability and training.
What does that mean to you?
That I don't go deeper than I'm allowed to, and I follow the training.
Absolutely. How about you, sweetheart? You want to give me the next one?
Evaluate the conditions before
Tell me what that means in your own words.
you assess your surroundings. Two,
Absolutely. Great example. There's this thing called hurricanes that come into Florida. And my favorite place to dive happens to be Florida. We were going out one day, and I happen to know the only boat captain that would go out in these particular 6-foot seas. We're going to see the video here in a minute. I would discourage anybody going on a heavy current dive like that if you don't have that kind of experience. If it's not the right kind of dive because of the weather, the conditions, the type of boat, the type of dive, don't go. Who can call a dive? That's a great question. Put that out to all of you. Who can call a dive? Cancel a dive. Say I'm not diving. Anybody. For what reason? That's certainly one of them. How about let's move it up a little bit to any reason. There is any reason. Anybody can call a dive for any reason without consequence. Period. If you get together with a diver that yells at you for calling a dive, call me. I'll chew their ass. I promise you. Because I would tell you right now that if you call a dive with me because you're not feeling safe, you're not feeling comfortable, it's outside your conditions, I will high five you, maybe even give you a hug. I am that guy. I want you to feel comfortable enough that, hey, I ain't feeling it. It's okay. And here's why. So I'll use your example. So you and I, we became besties through this class, and we decided we're going to hang out. We're going to go to Schruck, about $12,000 trip, right? Beautiful trip, amazing wrecks. We go out to this, we jump off the boat together, and about 2 minutes into the dive, you're like, something ain't right. And you call for, by the way, this means we're ending the dive for me. It's not up, this is ending the dive. You end the dive. We get to the surface. I come to the surface and I throw one of those little man fits we've all seen. It happens, right? How safe would you feel to call a dive on the second time?
I wouldn't go with you.
Exactly. That's how it should be. But what ends up happening is if you throw a fit or you make the person feel uncomfortable or unsafe, they're going to be twice as unsafe on the next dive. It can't happen. Period. In a statement. You got to be comfortable. So anybody can call a dive for any reason at any time without consequence, and that's huge. So never feel afraid. A friend of ours, her name is Jill Heinrich. Just amazing. She's a world-class diver, probably one of the most famous women divers in the world, right? First woman to dive a cave in an iceberg in Antarctica. Swear to God, crazy. And she comes off as my next door neighbor who's getting ready to give me her recipe for apple pie and some of her turnips that she just grew, right? She's just a really nice person. I asked her, I says, Jill, when's the last time you called a dive? She says, oh man, I was on a trip last week. Most accidents happen on the last day of a dive trip. She says, I just wasn't feeling it. Called it. World-class diver. And I says, how often does that happen? She says, oh, it happens all the time. She says, I call quite a few dives over the course of a year where I'm not feeling it, it's just not right. And I always figure if Jill Heinrich, who is my idol in this for diving, can call a dive for any reason just because just wasn't feeling it, you guys should feel perfectly okay. So, how about you, Tiger? You want to read this next one for me?
Be familiar and with and check my equipment before and during each dive.
What does that mean to you?
If you are uncomfortable with the equipment you're wearing, it's itching, it's not comfortable with you, just be familiar with it and just be comfortable with it before a dive and during a dive.
Absolutely. So we'll put this into maybe just a little bit different terms for you. So all gear is not created equal. The gear that I will be wearing tonight will be slightly different on how it operates than your gear. It's pretty important that when you put that gear on, you know a few basic things. Where are the weights? How do I clip it on? Where's the air coming from? How do I hit the inflation? You're going to learn about inflation. It's going to be your best friend. How do I deflate? Little things like that are fairly important. Who thinks that it would be a really good idea to go skydiving in a parachute that you've never dove before? Really good idea? Not so much. Oddly enough, so a few 4 years ago now. So I've got about 5,000 jumps at this point. I spent some time in the Marine Corps jumping out planes because that's just what we do for stupidity. It was just life, right? But I had my first rapper. I'd never had a rapper before. I've been just 5,000 jumps, right? I was skirting the odds. I should have played Vegas. It would have been better. And I always wondered, how would I react if that ever happened? And I popped out, and sure enough, I had a full rapper. And I remember looking up saying, well, that ain't good. I swear to God, that was more action. It was great. So be familiar. I was jumping, and I wasn't jumping my own chute. I was jumping a very small 120. It was a buddy chute. I wasn't super familiar with it. Bad idea. Don't do that. Be familiar with gear. Understand all the key pieces of it. I was able to get through that. And everything was good to go. I was able to get out from under the wrapper, got to the ground, and pull my chute up and walking back to the facility to go ahead and repack. And I realized that could have been bad. So it's interesting how you handle emergency reactions. All right. How about you?
Respect the buddy system.
What does that mean to you?
So it means that you pay heed to the buddy system, and you don't disregard it.
What does a buddy system mean to you?
Well, the buddy system means is you're always with another person, so that you're the safest. There's always someone who can go back and tell someone if you're stuck or if you're in danger or if you're trapped together, you could get out with the help of another person. And respect that instead of saying, "Oh, there's weighing me down. I can't." Respect that, and it's.
The nice thing is you both have tanks, right? If you run out of gas, I like to call my buddy my extra tank with feelings and lipstick. So, so if something happens, I've always got my buddy, my wife. She's pretty awesome. By the way, this is my older son. This is when I certified him about 3 years ago. And yes, this is Ashley photobombing us, the owner of the shop. So, all right. Who wants to go next? How about you? You want to read that next one for me? What does that mean to you?
You're responsible for anything that happens to you. Happen if you ascend too quickly. That's on you.
Absolutely. So take responsibility for yourself. It's absolutely, the buddy checks are there for a reason, but in the end, you're the one stepping off the boat. So, all righty. Who wants to retake my last one? Ross Ambo for it? What does that mean to you? Good. I like it. You're one of the few people brought in the environmentally conscious portion of that. That's, where the right sunscreen that's not killing the coral, right? So that's definitely a good thing to do. So I like that. Next slide, please. Here's the big one. What are you concerned about? What are you scared of? Why don't you start with you?
Tank exploding and I think next to Titanic.
The good news is, so 3,000 so dives and how many ever training dives and pool sessions, I have never had a tank explode. I've never seen a tank explode. And the only way a tank can explode is if you overfill it, and you're pretty much a flat out idiot. So I did have one time. So every one of these tanks has a couple really cool features. you'll all be using a tank very similar to this. The first thing is it has a neck burst ring. If something happens and this overexpands, the neck burst ring can go out. It also has a OPV, overpressurization burst disc. So if it overpressurizes from excess of heat, it will burst out the side. So it has two separate ways. I've never had an OPV disc burst on me, but I have had a neck ring go out on me. It is a terrifying sound, and that's about as far as it goes. It makes a lot of sound. In fact, David, you were there with me, weren't you? Because I was running those twins in Belmont. I was running a set of twins. I'd got that new set of tanks I just bought. It did. Well, the first time it happened was so twin sets are two tanks held together with a manifold. So you could dive two tanks on your back instead of one. And we had these in my living room because I'd had to set up the bands on them. And I was just lazy and wanted to do it in my living room. But we set it in the corner. It was about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. My wife and I are about half asleep on the couch, and all of a sudden the neck ring burst. And it's loud. It just talk about waking you up out of dead sleep like that. Yes, sir, it does. And so the other thing we happened is the other net ring went out on a dive when I was with some students. I had plenty of dive guys with me, and I knew that they had it. I went ahead to the surface. I isolated out, went over, switched out tanks. It was not a big deal, but that was the worst thing that happened. Not a big deal at all. Out of all my dives, it was with a new set of tanks. It's extremely rare, so your odds are very good. I wouldn't worry too much about the tank blowing up. How about you? What are your biggest concerns? What are you scared of?
Getting lost. I'd say.
It is big. The good news is you're probably not going to go too far offshore where you can't see shore. So as long as my secret is I'm diving on the East Coast and something happens, I'll swim west. If I'm diving on the West Coast, I'll swim east. It's pretty straightforward. There's a big country there. It's not too bad a deal. You're probably not going to be at a place where you're going to worry too much about getting lost, and you're not going to be able to get that far. We do teach navigation, by the way. It's a fun course to take. I will teach you how to count fin strokes, how to count time, and how to do things like create reciprocal courses, dog legs, and triangles. It's a fun course. We do about 2 hours on the surface, about 4 hours of classroom, and about an hour worth of diving to get you through the point to understand how a compass works. My wife will tell you that I am a world champ with my compass. Stephen is a world champ with his compass. But that just comes from being Marines because we spend a lot of time with a freaking compass. So I can usually, after about a 3-hour dive, yes, on one dive for 3 hours, end up at about 20 feet from where I started. So I always count that as a pretty big miracle, to be honest with you, but just kidding. How about you, big guy? What are you concerned about? What are you scared of?
Well, what happens if you get injured during that? What happens if you just break a bone during that, or
It's pretty rare to break a bone during diving. So that's something I'm terribly worried about. I have never seen anybody break a bone during diving. It takes a lot of impact to break a bone, so I wouldn't worry too much about that, but we got you covered. And good news is I'm a first aid, CPR, AED, and auction provider instructor, so pretty good to go. How about you? What are you scared of? I like it. I like that a lot, actually. It's something that I have a great deal of concern as well, is how do we help the environment, not hurt the environment? And that's definitely a very valid concern. The biggest way we'll help you through that is getting you to a good buoyancy factor, so you're not crashing into things and not harming things. I'll help you with that. How about you? What are you scared of?
It relates to case if anything at all would happen to my air while I'm deep in water, so a while until
Two things on that. I'm going to teach you guys this magical name called Boyle. Boyle's Law is your best friend when it comes to that. I'm also going to teach you the basic idea that if you look at your computer that has the amount of gas you have in it every 2 minutes, or anytime you see something interesting, you probably won't run out of gas. Now, in your car, as you're driving along, if you looked at your gas gauge every 2 minutes, would you ever run out of gas? Probably not, unless you purpose oh, I bet you I can make it another 50 miles. It's under E. Yeah. If you try that, you probably will. But if you run into some basic safety, like we talk about, never surface with less than 500 psi in your tank. you're not going to have a problem. Never ever service less than that. There's also this cool thing about boil. We'll talk a little bit about it. But as you start to ascend, there's actually gas increases in your tank because reduced pressure means increased volume. So cool physics. We'll teach you a little physics today. So whether you like it or not. How about you? What are you scared of? I like it. I was talking to a friend of mine, Mike Young. He owns Kiss Rebreathers. He's an amazing, world-class cave diver. Invented and built he has a CCR company, rebreathers company, and he dives these world record caves, 800 feet in a cave, and underwater, and he talks about the idea that he got into a point where he thought he was dead 3 times in this cave. And I says, "What did you do, Mike? What does that look like?" And he says, "Here's what I did." And I'm going to teach you this in class. He says, I stop, I breathe, I think, and I relax. And then I make sure that whatever I'm going to do next is going to get me closer to safety and farther away from danger. And that's what we're going to teach you in this class. It's going to be stop, breathe, think, act. The answer will come to you. Usually it's ascend, but we'll get you there. It's not a big deal. We'll get you there, I promise. How about you, Lily? The good news is diving is pretty much like driving. Stay between the lines, go forward, stop at the stop signs. It really is that simple. It really is. There's not a lot of complexity with what I'm teaching you guys. Now, when you start getting into the level where I like to do stupid stuff, the math definitely gets a little hairier. The thought process gets a little deeper, and the preparation gets a little heavier. But it's still stay between the lines, stop at the stop signs. It really is. How about you? Fair enough. So that brings a great point up. So one of the things that we do in this class is we're always looking for people who want to make it to Master Diver and Dive Guide. The 4 gentlemen in the back who are fantastic and amazing gentlemen, Stephen, Ryan, David, and Josh. 3 of them are dive guides and dive masters. They started in open water classes. 2 of them I did or 3 of them I did their open water. We're always looking for people who want to take that next step. Now, David, what's the difference between a dive guide professional and a dive guide non-professional?
Dive guide. Professional dive guide.
Yeah, in the insurance. So my definition of that is that a recreational dive guide, somebody who's not a professional, but they have gone through the professional course, is able to take their friends and family and they're able to see the problems before they manifest themselves. Like I was talking to my daughter today, she's having some challenges with some stuff that daughters always do, and dads are always there to lovingly help them through the problem. And I explained to her today, I says, sweetheart, I know you think I always have the answers, and I usually do, but here's why, and it's not for the reason you think. It's because I've probably done it wrong, and I've probably done it right, and I have the experience. I see what's going on, right? So at the dive guide, we try and give you the experience so that you're able to see the problems before they arise, because they're usually fairly simple. A lot of little simples problems become one big problem. If you get to solve all the little problems, you never have big problems. We can teach you that. So if you're interested in moving up to that process and becoming a dive guide, we'd love to have you. We'd love to have some females join us in the ranks of professionals. Absolutely, positively, 7 days a week, twice on Sunday. I feel strongly that we need more females and more strong females in this sport to join us. My wife is an amazing diver in this, and I know she would love to have some feminine company as well. So if you're looking for that, we'd love to have you, and we'll talk a little bit more of that in a moment. So next slide, please. Go ahead and play this one if you wouldn't mind. So what are we training to do? This is what we're going to train you to do. This is an actual video. This was the boat I talked about. It's 5-foot seas. Don't be fooled by my GoPro and its really cool ability to hold the horizon. The seas were about 5 to 6 feet to this day. Your boats will not rock like this, I promise. But this gives you a basic idea what it's going to look like when you get ready to jump off a dive boat. They've called the dive master, who is standing with the flag, and has called, go ahead and gear up and get ready and stage. So we've got our gear on, we've got our fins on, we're staged, and we're holding on to something. And by the way, that's Miami in the background. So she checks to make sure that she's, go ahead and captain, set us up. She jumps in, and we're all doing giant strides off, giant stride off. And now it's my turn, because I'm actually the one holding the camera. I did a little pirouette while I was doing it, because I want to be able to get a picture, because that's my blushing bride stepping off the boat right there. That should give you an idea how special the day was. Great dive, though. You hear the dive guide in the background. Go ahead and dive. The engines on the boat are off. That's how much drift we had in current. It's not a big deal. It's not scary at all. So we're going to descending. There's my fins, because I'm trying to keep an eye on my blushing bride. Give a little turn around. There's our dive guide, and that's a reef hook, so she can hold. Then she's also got a safety thing called an SMB. It's a marker buoy that she can mark as well. And there's my blushing bride coming down. This is about 2 years ago, maybe 3. And one of my wife and I special symbols is the I love you. We always carry lights with us, and we'll talk about why later on. And the water was about 79, 80 degrees, but we always wear wetsuits coming in on the substrate. And this is called a basket sponge. Make sure you always look down into basket sponges. There's I shouldn't say always, but there's a lot of time critters that like them, like crabs. And I'm about 73 feet. Yeah, we did about 40 feet a minute. So there's a nice little trumpet fish heading off. These are trigger fish. If you get too close to their nest, they will give you a nibble to let you know. More basket sponges. And of course, my blushing bride. Lots of branch coral, some leaves, some fan coral. Fan coral are kind of fun. They feed at night. They turn brown when they're feeding. Nice little puffer. You jump forward about 2 minutes. Yeah, looks good. Go up. There you go. Jump forward just a little bit. This was shortly after a hurricane, so the visibility was a little bad. Here we go. Here's why we have a light, because if you don't have a light, this will all monotone gray. If you look, here's one of my favorite creatures in the world. This is a green moray eel. They get about 5 to 7 feet. I like to lovingly say they look like they just told a dad joke and they're waiting for you to get the punchline. So I love eels. They're kind of one of my favorites. They look all scary because they're just breathing. See, he just told you a dad joke. You laugh with him. You definitely don't want to stick your hands in their mouth or stick your hands in their hole because they will definitely give you the opportunity to get stitches. But as long as you're respectful of them and their space. Got some goatfish, got some others. Little trigger over there. Some more branch coral. It's because as you go down, you lose color because of the light frequency. That's why we add the light, so you can get the. Yep. Right. Oh, how would this look 40 years ago? About the same. By the way, that's a fan coral, and he looks like he's feeding, but looks the same. The reefs haven't changed in a million years. That's a nice basket coral or basket sponge. The quality of this is just of the GoPro. I have a GoPro 9. So. Alrighty. Which one of my dive masters, superstars, would like to talk about the total parts of the snorkeling system? Who feels comfortable? There's your mic.
Oh, I got it. Oh, wow. Real deal.
You're the real deal.
All right. You got some props for me?
I do.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
The mask. David, give me a snorkel, please.
Okay, well, I'll get started. So you got a mask. It's pretty self-explanatory. You wear it so you can see when you're going down. Some important things you want to take note of is that this is awful. I'm gonna hold it. So as you're going down, things you're gonna do as you're going down is you want to clear your mask, right? So the deeper you go, the more pressure there is. The mask is going to suction more to your face. So you're just going to kind of blow out every once in a while, periodically through your nose, and then it'll push the mask out. So it's not super tight on your face. It gets really uncomfortable. A couple other things before you go in the water with these masks is you want to put some anti-fog in there because the water's cold, your face is hot, so it'll start fogging up, and you won't be able to see very well. Your spit works pretty good. You can just spit in it and rub it around a little bit, and that works as an anti-fog. They sell products at most dive shops. You can buy, put it in there, and rub it around. Give it a quick swish, and that'll keep it from fogging up. And then baby shampoo. Baby shampoo works too. You can just put a little drop in there, rub it around, and it'll keep it from fogging up as well. So that's your mask. Your snorkel connects to the mask. It goes on the left side. Can anybody tell me why it goes on the left side? Nobody? Because you got your regulator. Your regulator comes around, it's on your right side. Your regulator obviously is what you breathe out of as you're going down. So you keep your snorkel on your left side. What's the big primary use of a snorkel? Why do you want to snorkel? Well, kind of. So like, especially if you're diving from shore and you got a long swim out, you put your snorkel in so you're not wasting your air in your tank. Right? It's kind of a pain sometimes if you're doing like a boat dive. You got to jump in from the boat, kind of flops around, and hits you in the head. A lot of people won't wear them, but for like for this class, obviously, and then for like if you do a lot of shore dives, swimming out, the snorkel's pretty helpful, so you're not using air. The last thing is fins, right? Fins are your last thing. Everybody know what fins looks like. Obviously, you wear fins so you can kick, get a little bit of momentum while you're underwater. Yep, this is what they look like. They come in a variety of different, well, they sell a bunch of different kinds. There's two types. You'll have a boot fin. You strap on over a booty. That's my preferred method because it's helpful if you're walking out on coral or something like that. You want to take your fin off. And you can walk on coral because coral is super sharp. Then there's also the foot fin where you just connect it right on your foot. Each their own. Everybody has their own preferences. But that's it, right? That's everything.
That's it. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Give David. All right. Let's talk a couple pieces here. So your mask. There's a couple key features of your mask that I want you guys to be aware of. The first thing is it's made with scuba grade silicone seal. And the nice thing with getting a pro mask, not from Walmart, from an actual dive shop, is you're going to get scuba quality silicone seal. It's going to seal around your face better, and it's going to help keep the water out. Now, I've been through, I don't know, 60 masks, probably 50 masks. Every mask leaks. It is what it is. Some masks leak less than others, but they all leak a little bit. The better the silicone, the less it will leak. We'll talk to you about how to clean the mask and how to clear that water out. Part of it is it's going to have tempered glass. So your mask breaking glass at the bottom while you're at depth doesn't sound like a terrible amount of fun to me. So always get a scuba quality mask from your local dive shop. It'll have nice tempered glass so it doesn't break very easily. And the last piece is it's going to have a nose well. So you can reach up in, you can pinch your nose, and that's the difference between goggles and a mask. Swimmers wear goggles. They don't have something that covers their nose. Scuba divers wear a mask that has a finger well pocket for their nose. And simple enough, you'll be able to go through and you're going to be able to clear your nose. We're going to go through those techniques in just a little bit. So that's your mask. Next piece of it is going to be your snorkel. There's 3 different kinds of snorkels. This one happens to be a nice dry snorkel, but there's this first type that you buy at Walmart called a J-tube. Anybody ever snorkeled with a J-tube before where it has no, a lot of fun, isn't it? A lot of fun to clear. The
feel
J-tube,
like a blue whale.
Say again? You do. You know, it's just not a lot of fun. So J-tube, bad. I've had to give those out as rentals. I'm so sorry. But it lets a lot of water in. The next type is kind of a semi-dry. And a semi-dry has a bobber at the top that doesn't let water in as easily. And a full dry will have a flush valve at the bottom as well as a bobber. The nice thing about it is once you go down and you're underwater, with that valve, it very easily allows you to purge. It'll just take just a little purge and it'll clear right out and it'll work again very easily. As we go through fins, as Stephen very awesomely expressed, they do have come a lot of different styles, a lot of different types. This is what I use. I use a Tech fin. It's nice and light, but they do 2 things. Anybody know what those two things are? There's 2 reasons to wear fins. Yeah, maximize propulsion. That's absolutely right. Minimize effort. Man, you guys are so ahead of the game. God, it makes my life easy. Absolutely. So, there's a couple different kinds of fins. Dave, will you grab me some splits? So there's a couple different kinds of fins we use, right? The boot fins and the foot fins, right? Boot fins have the advantage of you being able to walk across hot sand, coral, things that are sharp. We had an experience in Hawaii a month and a half or 2 months ago, whatever it was. I forgot my wife's boots at the hotel an hour away. Dumb husband, right? So she tried to use a sock and a flip-flop in her boot. Didn't work so well when we were trying to walk out on the out of the surf. She slipped, her flip-flop bent, and she stepped on a sea urchin. Not a fun day. That was 2 months ago, and she still has what we lovingly call a Hawaiian tattoo, some black spots. I've run into a sea urchin as well. It takes a while. It's not a fun thing, right? So boot fins definitely help protect you from that. I always wear boot fins. I do have some foot fins. I only use them for when I have to do my swim call in the pool. It's the only time I've ever used them. There's 2 basic kinds of fins. We sell what's called a split fin. If you're on any of the scuba groups on Facebook, they make fun of these to no end. But I can tell you from personal experience, they are awesome. They create a very easy push. They're not the fastest things you'll ever have, but they're the most comfortable. It's the difference between trying to drive a 79 Chevy pickup from here to Salt Lake and a 2023 Escalade. That's literally the difference. It will feel more comfortable, less pressure on your hips, has a lot more foot force to create that propulsion. Fun story for you. About 2 years ago, my wife and I were doing a shark dive on January 1st in Florida. And we went down, we saw the sharks. It was wonderful. It was heavy drift dive, a lot of current, right? We get to the surface and the boat said, hey, I'll come around and when I get within about 10, 15 feet of you, I'll kick the engine off. I'll tell you neutral, you swim to the boat. Well, drift was having a hard time and there was me and 3 other divers. I had been able to get my wife onto the boat one of the times. I gave her a good push and she was able to get on the boat. And so it was just me and these other 3 divers who thought they were pretty special stuff. And And I was like, whatever, you guys can think whatever you want. I don't need to show you my cert card. And honestly, just to guys give an idea, whenever I get on a boat, I show the lowest card I can possibly show that gets me on the dive boat. I don't need to let everybody know that I'm an instructor. I don't care what you think of me. I'm there for me to do my dive. If you'd like some help, I may make a suggestion. If not, I'll try and keep you safe. But other than that, I'm there to, just like everybody else, to see the ocean. But anyway, so I'm with these other 3 divers, and they're, and I'm like, whatever. And I was kind of over them pretty quickly. And it wasn't at about the 3rd pass, the boat hadn't got to us. And finally, the 4th pass, they came along, and they were about 25, 30 feet away. I put my head down. I started swimming like I was freaking Mark Spitz or Michael Phelps, and didn't even worry about it. In fact, fun story for you, there was a shark just below me, because just because you go on a shark dive and you come to the surface doesn't mean they go away. And I saw it on, I swear to God, I saw it on Flipper when I was a kid. He grabbed on the dorsal fin of the Flipper and pulled him right through the water. That does not work. Don't try that. The shark wasn't terribly impressed either. So yes, I tried to ride a shark for about a minute. It just didn't work. I finally let go, and I'm pretty sure he flipped me the bird. I'm pretty sure he gave me a pretty ugly look. So in shark fins, I think he was like, ah. So, and I swam and I got right to the ladder, got a hold of the ladder, got my fins off, climbed on the boat, and looked back, and the other 3 divers were still in the water. And they didn't even come close to getting the thing. Got on the boat, got my gear off, and they went back around, finally got these other 3 divers, and I heard them on the other side of the boat, right across there. I mean, they're from me to you. And one of them says, hey, did you see that? And I'm like, and I'm listening really closely, and they're like, what? You see that guy with the split fins? He passed all 3 of us, and we've got Maurice Quatras. I was like, because you're idiots. but that's just me. So I believe in split fins. Don't believe there are other split fins out there that aren't nearly as good. David will definitely attest to the lack of quality of other split fins out there. But I think these are probably night and day difference between what you have now and what you had. These are what you have now. I thought you had those other old yellow split fins. Were they solids? Oh, they're jets? Okay. I thought you had the old ones. But anyway, I drove some other types of splits as well, and I'm telling you, the Atomics are the only ones I would buy. They're good. They're strong. The difference between that and this is a much stiffer fin. It's got bellows on it and brakes on it, and the key difference between this is it takes a lot more effort to propel at high speeds with this, but I can also back fin with this, which means I actually have a reverse gear with these. You do not need a reverse gear. That's the big advantage of this. So it is cool you'll see me do it. I do it a lot. I'll watch you guys. I'll get into hover and I'll watch, and you'll watch me back away from you at some point. It's just something I do. Delivery system. We've got the delivery system of what we're going to be using tonight. We have a regulator. How many regulators do we have here, though? Technically, we have 3. The first stage on the back here, it has 1 job. The regulator's job has 1 job. The first stage, it is designed to change the air pressure from high 3,000 psi to intermediate pressure that you can breathe of 140 psi. So it dumbs it down for you. Then we have 2 second stage regulators. We have a primary and a safety second. We can thank our best friend who came up with the safety second? Come on, work with me here. Sheck Exley, world famous cave diver, died in a cave at 850 feet. Amazing guy though. He was a math teacher in Florida. Pretty cool guy. Wrote several books that are amazing. But we have a safety second. Why do we have 2 second stages? Yeah, in case one goes bad. Or what happens if you run out of gas and I have plenty of gas? Here you go. Yeah, exactly. So a safety second is exactly that. It's a nice way to share air with your buddy without having to go. Ryan, you've done this. Does buddy breathing work?
If you were lucky.
If you're lucky. So that's our delivery system. We also have a couple key things on here as well. We have an extra hose that's going to go to your inflator on your BC. I'll show you just in a moment. And we have an information system. You probably dig information systems, don't you? Yeah, I dig information systems too. So you have a compass, just for you. You also have a depth gauge, and Your pressure. How much gas do I have? Pretty important. Reasonably important. A little bit important. Very important. I like that. Nice. So you have that. And then on your BC, let me see if I can find one that's not soaking wet. We have our BC. This one is nice and drippy. So you'll notice that as we look at the back, we have some cam bands. That's what's going to hold your tank on place. You have a neck ring to make sure you put it the right place. As we look at the front of this, we have nice little D-rings to clip things to because it's all about the accessories. It really is. You have a chest strap, a cummerbund with Velcro and also a clip. And then your new best friend in the entire world, this is called an inflator. It has 2 buttons. Even a man can run this. So the girls got no problem with this. I explain this more to the guys than I do the girls. Top button lets all the air out. Side button puts all the air in. If I have a balloon and I'm at the bottom of the ocean and I fill that balloon up with air, what happens to the balloon? You ascend. Same thing. If I add air to this by pushing this side button, I'm going to fill up the back here, and it's going to look like yet proof that Benjamin is full of hot air. Just kidding. So as you notice, it fills up basically a balloon on your back, makes you float. Floating is your friend. So that is the key pieces. As we talk about accessory systems, by the way, this is my beautiful daughter who I'm very in love with and proud of. She is 31 and just an amazing, amazing young woman. Proud to be one of her best friends. But you'll notice she has a knife, definitely a key piece. She has removable weight pockets as well. And somewhere in her pocket, she has an SMB. So accessories are definitely the key. And as everybody will tell you when you go to prom, it's not about the dress, it's about what? And that the hair, the jewelry, the shoes, the date, the limo, the flowers, the experience. It's not about the dress. So scuba diving is very little about the basic gear. It's all about the accessories, the cool stuff. Next slide, please. All right. So the importance of diving. David, you want to cover this? Why is it important to purchase from an authorized dealer?
So everybody knows that online shopping is nice and cheap, but we also know that sometimes you don't get exactly what was advertised. Everything in our shop is geared for scuba. So all of our masks are scuba rated for depth, pressure, and everything that you're going to experience while scuba diving. All of our gear can be serviced here in shop, which is very important. SSI recommends servicing your gear at least once a year or before any big dive trips, because the only thing worse than getting your luggage lost is showing up with your luggage and having that equipment fail on you. So all of our equipment we service here in-house. We keep most things on hand for that as we're able, and that allows you to keep your equipment functioning at its best. The other big advantage to it is warranty, because if your gear does go out the week before a big trip and you find out about that, you can go ahead and have that warranted here locally instead of having to ship that off to Timbuktu and having to hope FedEx gets it back to you in time. So.
Awesome. The thing about it is the dive industry is primarily little shops. Anybody ever been to a major shop like a Walmart of diving? It's because they don't have them. Absolutely. Walmart hasn't got into diving, thank God. So the way we stay into diving and we move the sport forward is little shops like this, like Brett and Ashley. So when you come in and you buy a new mask from a dive shop like this, you support a family and you keep a little girl in ballet lessons instead of helping a CEO buy a third house in the Caribbean. So you help support the love of diving industry. The other thing is when you get out to your locations, this is my wife and I in Yellowstone. We dive Yellowstone a lot. It's about 3 hours from here. There is no dive shop close to Yellowstone. We are the closest. It's 3 hours away. We want to make sure we get the right gear that's going to last and work for you as well. And then when you want to start understanding how to do other cool things like side mount diving, which is how, if I'm not with you guys, I side mount dive instead, which means I put tanks on my side instead of my back. I broke my back a number of years ago, so it's better for me. We're the people that you come to learn this kind of stuff. Or if you want to go river diving in a dry suit, that's me, Brett, and Mark over there. So buy from your local shop. You'll get better service, better equipment, and believe it or not, the prices are the same. The nice thing is with Aqualung Gear or Hollis or whomever, we use MAP pricing, which means if I am on eBay or on Amazon or another place, I have to advertise and sell at the same price. But who wants the secret best deal of the day? If you want an awesome deal, you guys, by virtue of being super cool people, get 20% off as long as you're students. So we'll show you the MAP price and we'll give you 20% below that. So as long as you're a student, you get 20% off most items. There's a few things that there's just no margin on that we carry because it's more of a courtesy, but majority of the gear, you get 20% off. So if you like saving money, shop it. I love saving money. I like it. Next slide, please. Thank you, sir. So we talked about this already. Next. And who here has their own mask, snorkel, and fins?
I don't know if snorkeling that I got at a sports shop.
Okay, but do you have your own mask, snorkel, and fins at this point? You do? Perfect. How about you, sweetheart? Do you have one for tonight? Okay, so for tonight here at the shop, for this class, you will need to have your own mask, snorkel, and fins. Okay, how about you guys? Good. Yes, ma'am? Yes, absolutely. And we're going to have a break here in about 5 minutes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of my fantastic dive guys on to help you find everything you need and dream and desire could ever been possible. It'll be like a dream come true. Winter Wonderland, right? How about you, Tiger? You good to go? Okay. Are you two together?
We are.
Okay, I was like, you guys look.
3 of us are together.
Okay, cool. That makes it even easier. So yeah, if you don't have the stuff, we could absolutely go in the dive shop.
We didn't know we were supposed
Okay, cool. I'm so sorry. Yeah. If
to.
you
That's what I'm saying. Like we came here that's all.
gotcha. Okay, I'm sorry that they didn't clarify that for you. So everybody for tonight's class will need. Do you have that stuff at home? For all 3 of them? Okay, so we'll need to get them squared away. But what we can do is, if you live close, hopefully. Okay, we'll see what I can do. What size foot do you wear? Okay, I might be able to take care of you tonight, but we'll definitely need to get them their own gear. Easy enough. Easy enough. So, if you don't have your own dive gear in the break we have, let's go ahead and get you guys squared away, and we'll get you find some gear. Next slide, please. So, before we go into this, Squeeze, who would like a 4 or 5 minute break? To go potty and find snorkels and toys. Okay. Ryan, would you take care of this fantastic young lady? When you guys come back, real quick, before you guys, I need to see Grace. Okay. And Tegan. Or Tegan, sorry. Is it Tegan? Tegan, okay. Andrew Rail, sorry. Hard to see without my glasses, sorry. Peter Rail.
That's me.
Are you sure?
Yes.
How about a high five? All right. I'm guessing. Steele? Samantha. Zeta?
No.
No.
You want the actual pronunciation?
Actual
The
pronunciation.
English pronunciation.
The actual.
Gita?
Zeta? Okay. Where's that from?
Technically Yugoslavia. Now
Okay.
Croatia.
Gotcha. Zeta. Which do you prefer? Kelsey. And Lily. Perfect. If you guys just leave those right there, we're going to take a 4 to 5 minute break. And my fantastic dive guys are going to help you guys get squared away. See, so Zeta, you don't have dive gear. So if you want to go with Ryan or Steven, you can pick one of them. They're both pretty handsome guys. I think Steven's single, though. I'd go single.
I'm a minor.
Then go with Ryan. He's still a good looking guy. He's got the beard, man. He's got the cool beard. I am so jealous of the beard. Now you guys both have gear?
I need to run home.
Okay.
Only live like 10 minutes.
Yeah, run home.
What are we doing now?
Yeah. Let's knock it out. All right, you guys have gear. If you'll go with your boys real quick, I'm going to see what I can come up with for gear for you because I think I can.
No, I mean, yeah.
They'll, I'm so sorry. I apologize. But they'll need mask snorkel fins. That's all they're going to require from this class in terms of gear.
I didn't even know if we were getting water
You have swimsuits today?
Fortunately, yes.
Okay, there we go.
Grabbed them the last night. My wife said, I haven't heard anything, babe. But
I'm sorry, they should have made notes. So each night we're going to have pool starting at about 8:30. So, let's just let it run.
Switch. Figure out what it was doing.
So it's been on mute. Ah, good.
I switched yours to mute when you set it down, so it wasn't recording while we were sitting here talking.
Okay, good.
So you've been on record that whole time.
Okay, good, good.
But
Yeah, yeah. I started that recently, and I like that. Both. It's for students and for me, and it's for three portions. It's for students to be able to go back and review the content. It's for me to be able to go see how I taught, and it's for the whole world to be able to come in and see how I did it. If I did something wrong, say something. So guys, one of the things, the question was from Stephen. It's a great question. Why do you record your classes? And I do it for three reasons. I do it for the first reason, so you guys can always go back and say, hey, did he really say that? Let's go to the play, instant replay, right? And we'll take a look at it. I do it for myself because I want to be the best instructor I can be. Here's a secret about choosing an instructor. Absolute. When you talk to your instructor, if they think they know everything in the world, run like hell. I know a lot of world-class divers that are absolutely amazing. And the one common thing I know about all world-class divers is they realize they don't know everything, that they're always learning, gaining, and learning something new. So if you choose an instructor who thinks they know everything, run, 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 run. That is the best advice. I can tell you for myself and for Brett, we are constantly on the lookout to understand, learn, and grow. David, how many times have you seen my presentation change in the last year?
I don't think it's ever
Not-
stayed the
not-
same twice.
Yeah, it's not that it so much changes, but I'm always adding stuff.
Yeah.
There's always something new to add because I want to give you more information, better information, different information. Maybe not different, but more information and deeper in understanding. So find an instructor that always wants to learn and grow, because then you found somebody that's not stuck in their ways and won't get you killed. All right, so let's just jump into it. Ear squeeze, primary effects. So how many sinuses do we have, guys? David? 4 pairs, absolutely. So one of the things that happens in the intercostal area in our sinuses and between our station tubes, intercranial, thank you, not intercostal, intercranial, thank you. Having a long day today. I got up at 5 this morning to take my wife to the airport, so apologize. But what ends up happening is as you start to go down, the air inside that area of your head in your sinuses starts getting squeezed, because as the pressure increases, volume decreases. You start getting the effects of squeeze. Anybody ever gone deep in the pool and felt that kind of pressure in your head? Absolutely, right? Or you go over the mountain pass and you feel your ears pop. That's your ears equalizing with everything around you. So what it is the pressure, the points in your head trying to equalize with the exterior pressure around. The other place we have is lungs. Your lungs are basically big balloons. As you go deeper, everything compresses in. So we talk about the number one rule of scuba diving. Who read any of the homework and knows what the number one rule of scuba diving is? Always breathe. Love it. Good job. You're crushing it. We'll get to that one. The number one rule of scuba diving is always breathe. Number 2 is never dive alone or without a buddy. But we'll get there. Number 1, so always breathe. This is not a breath hold sport. Please, 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 for the love of God, please, if you want to do a breath hold sport, go somewhere else, get a mental examination, and that's for a whole different kind of weird person that wants to hold their breath forever. This is not that sport. I don't do that. I don't do free diving. This is a breath. You've got a big old tank on your back, full air, 80 cubic feet, and a regulator coming around. Breathe, use it. Air's cheap. So always breathe. That way you don't have problems with your lungs. Next slide, please. So the first thing we're going to deal with today is going to be the pressure in our sinuses. So anybody gone over that mountain pass and felt your ears pop? Or been able to pop your ears as you go over that mountain pass? How did you do it? How did you pop your ears? Yeah, it's called a Valsalva. So what you do is you pinch your nose, you look up, you breathe gently but forcefully through your nose while it's pinched, and it causes your ears to expand and pop, right? That's what we're going to do. We're going to use the Valsalva technique. There's other techniques as well. There you go. So according to Dan is the largest insurer and pretty much the only insurer for divers around the world. Dan.org discovered that 89% of divers do not equalize the correct way. 89%. It's huge, right?
Yeah.
So out of this room, that means that we have 8 divers in this room. It means that 6 of you don't know how to equalize your freaking ears. We're gonna fix that. We're gonna defy the odds. 29% of those divers had to stay out of the water for weeks or months due to problems caused by equalizing. And 6.3% of divers have gotten permanent ear damage due to problems equalizing. Fun story for you. I had a family come to me that I love this family. They've been friends for years. Came to me last fall. They said, Benjamin, can you certify us to an open water? I says, of course I can. They said, but here's the problem. Dave and his wife, great people. I love Dave and his wife. They're just, Dave and Lori are just salt of the earth amazing. They had gone to Costa Rica. They did a Zero to Hero course where they decided they're going to learn to scuba dive in one day. Don't do that. Don't do that. Bad. Take your time. Learn. They didn't talk about equalizing at all. First off, she got down to about 20 feet and couldn't equalize, and she was a smart one. She went ahead and head up. Dave was a silent submariner, 11 years in the Navy. He's a big guy, owns a motorsport company. Went past, burst his eardrums. Was out of the water for 3 months per the doctor's orders. Came to me and they said, his daughter, Bailey, his wife, Lori, and he came to me and says, we're probably not going to pass your course because of this. We can't equalize our ears. They're certified and they send me pictures every 3 months of their dives right now. So it's absolutely possible, but we're going to teach you the right way to do this. This is a pain-free sport. We're going to learn a few ways. So here's what my solution to that is: 6 better ways to equalize your ears. The first one we're going to do is going to be the Valsalva. It's going to be the primary. Simply enough, there's 2 keys to this. Look up, pinch your nose, and breathe forcefully is the first key. So if we'd all do that for me. Look up, pinch your nose, breathe forcefully out your nose.
Through the nose? Through
the nose. That's the key. You got to keep going till you feel those ears pop. That's part 1. Part 2 is equally important. Tiger, you want to read this last sentence, part of the sentence for me?
Hold this for 10 to 15 minutes.
Seconds. 10 to 15 seconds. So that's the other key part of the Valsalva is time. Give yourself time to breathe out forcefully but gently, or gently but forcefully, for 10 to 15 seconds. Now, the magic question for you is, when should you start equalizing? I got one vote for when we feel discomfort. Immediately upon descent is over here. Anybody got a third answer for me? That's probably not the best time, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to free throw that one off the baseboard there. Immediately upon descent is the exact right answer. So remember, this is a comfort sport, pain-free sport. Immediately upon descent, so that you never have to feel the pressure. You never have to feel that pain. Immediately. Now, the next method we're going to talk about is the Toynbee maneuver. Pinch your nose and swallow. I can do that sometimes. I have a harder time with that one. But you can look up and swallow. Next one's going to be the Lowry. Pinch your nose, blow, and swallow. I kind of feel like that's, but if you can do that, that's great. Pinch your nose, blow, and then swallow. Edmonds, pinch your nose, blow, and push your jaw forward. It makes you look like a lizard. It's kind of fun. So definitely another way to go through that. The Frenzel, pinch your nose, make the letter sound of K. You know, if that works for you, that's great. Absolutely. Finally, the voluntary tubal opening. Tense your throat. Push your jaw forward. It works for some people. Actually, oddly enough, that one works for me only in my full face mask, where I cannot reach over and pinch my nose, but I can do that with my full face mask, and it works great. But that's the only place I can do that. So there's a few things I'm going to suggest, and by the way, this might be a test question. The primary method is going to be the Valsalva technique. Could be a test question, I'm just saying. Gently but forcefully bear down and hold for 10 to 15 seconds. I cannot stress that enough. If you're having a hard time, keep doing it gently but forcefully. Next slide, please. Thank you, sir. When should you start to equalize? Exactly, immediately upon descent. Next slide. So squeeze and sinus can be prevented by I got 1C. David, what's my answer today? B.
I just said B before I said B.
Nice. Don't dive with a cold. Simple enough. Decongestions definitely do work, but take the time and don't dive with a cold. The answer on this particular one is B. It can be prevented where you don't even have to worry about it nearly as much, because if you cannot clear your sinuses, you cannot dive. You can't clear your station tubes. Next slide, please. So equipment squeeze is a very real thing. First time I ever saw it, I was diving with a friend who had overestimated the number of dives they had done by, well, a lot. And we were doing a 130-foot dive off the backside of Molokini and off of Maui. We literally jumped off the boat and went straight to 130 feet. And then we did a drift dive along the backside of the reef. Beautiful dive, a lot of cool stuff. Came back up, bloodshot completely eye. What had happened is, as we went down, Boyle's law kicked in, and as pressure increased, volume decreased, and the volume inside of her mask decreased enough that it caused a pressure on her eye and actually burst blood vessels in her eye. What's a simple way we can avoid mask squeeze? Yes, ma'am. Nope. Yeah. Yeah. Just add a little air with your nose. Here's a pro tip for you. About every third breath, I blow out my nose anyway. I just breathe it from my mouth and out through my nose about every second or third breath. Anybody have any idea why I might do that? It keeps it full of air and not full of what's outside of me? Water. There we go. So excuse me. So it keeps water out of the mask. So that's what you want to try to do, is you want to be able to see better. Now, imagine a question for you. Do you need a mask to dive? Is it required? You want to see? No. Yeah, if you want to, so no, you don't need a mask. It's not a required item. You could absolutely survive and dive without a mask. It makes your dive substantially more enjoyable. Absolutely. So with this mask, you just want to make sure you're adding just enough air to make sure it doesn't cause squeeze. I have did an entire dive without a mask strap. If you can get enough suction on it, it will hold on and stay in place. It's kind of a pain. You got to be very careful, but it will create enough pressure on there, it will stay in place. But simply, about every third breath, if you just blow water or blow air into your mask, it will create a positive pressure in there. It will help keep the water out, so you don't have to clear it as often. Next slide, please. So the first symptoms and signs of a sinus squeeze is usually nope. So I've got a C. Who else agrees with C? Give me a hands up for C if you. A sharp pain, wedging sensation above the eyes. Your sinuses come up and across your eyes. By the way, if it says quiz time, I would guess about a 99.99, well, probably actually 100% chance that that's going to be a test question. You are welcome to write them down if you'd like. Next question, please. Normal diving activities. Divers should never exceed a descent rate, going up, of how many feet per minute?
C.
What did you say? A is exactly right, 30 feet per minute. How fast is 30 feet per minute? Who wants to find out?
Me.
About. What does that look like? Let's go find out. Let's go figure out how fast. Come on, guys. Let's. If you guys could all go ahead and stand on the mat for me. Or about at the mat as best you can. All right, and Josh is going to bring the camera over. And Josh is going to bring the camera over because he's that kind of guy. So, perfect. So where you guys are standing is 0. Where I'm standing is about 30 feet. Just kidding. Right about here is 30 feet. You guys all have to get from there to here in more than 1 minute. Ready, set, go.
Made it.
Less than a minute. One minute. That 30 feet per minute. That's how fast. Now, the old rule used to be no faster than your slowest bubble, but the problem is your slowest bubble will go faster than 30 feet per minute. So the simplest way to monitor this is either with a dive computer or a timing device and a depth gauge. You always want to make sure you have a couple things with you. A timing device, an SPG, some way to monitor how much gas is in my tank, right? And how deep I am. Those are the 3 things you should always have. Timing, depth, and pressure. Okay? The easiest way to do that is to monitor as you go up. Monitor that time. The nice thing is that with a nice dive computer, it will actually monitor that for you, and it gives you a nice little green, yellow, red graph. Green, you're going the right speed. Yellow, slow down, stupid. Red, you're dead. Not really, but you're definitely not going to be a happy camper. So, kind of slow? Take your time. I can't stress this enough. My whole goal in life is to teach you to do nothing. I can promise you that any time in the water on ascent is far better. What do you do for work? I promise you, in the water doing a slow ascent is better than anything you're ever going to do as a CNA. Fair enough? I know some of the things you have to do as a CNA, and I bet you about 99% of them are better than what you'll do as a CNA. It does. We'll talk about that as well. You never want to descend more than 60 feet per minute. But you want to take your time getting down. Don't go fast. This is not a speed sport. If you are in this in it to win it, to go as fast as you can, you're in the wrong sport. That is a whole different sport. I don't teach that. What I do teach is take your time. Enjoy the descent. Enjoy the bottom. Relax. Take your time. This square foot, ascend. Take your time. Okay? Easy enough? Good job, guys. I like putting this in a visual and physical format because I feel like you get a better idea. So now, who's got the answer for me? Exactly, 30 feet per minute. And again, that might be a test question. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. All right, perfect. All right, exposure systems are pretty important things. So, I'm doing a dive in the Mediterranean, 84-degree water. Can I get hypothermia? Absolutely. Well, even at the 84-degree water, is that the same temperature as my body? No. Test question. Water wicks body temperature away 25 times faster than air. 25 times faster than air. Could be a test question. So, even when I'm in Florida, in the wintertime, the temperature is usually between 79 and 81 degrees. At depth, the coldest we see is about 78, 77, even at 175 to 200 feet. We'll see 77 maybe at the worst.
What does it wick away?
25 times faster.
No, what does it wick away?
Heat.
The heat? Okay.
Uh-huh. Sorry, I didn't hear you. I apologize. So, wetsuits have two purposes. The first and primary is going to be help keep you warm. And they come in a variety of shapes and flavors, right? Please do not taste your wetsuit, no matter what anybody says. There are two types of divers in this world, the ones who pee in their wetsuits and the ones who lie about it. I'm just telling you right now, so don't taste your wetsuit. That's just gross. But they start off with a shorty. If you're in warm water, 85 degrees, just exactly what it looks like. Works our way up next to 3 mil. That's what I always wear in Florida and the Caribbean. 78-degree water, keep you warm. Hypothermia has a cumulative effect. Day 1, you do 3 dives. You feel nice and warm. You feel like you could have been in your shorts. Day 2, still feels okay. By day 5 of 3 days, you will be cold, feeling cold. I promise you, hypothermia has a cumulative effect, and your body takes several days for your core body temperature to return to a concrete normal point. Okay? So 3 mil is the very base that I wear. Next up is a 5 mil. When it starts getting a little colder, you can start getting in that 60 to 75 degree water. Next up is going to be your 7 mil. When you start getting even colder than that, into your 55 to 70 degree water. Semi-dry is a little different than a wetsuit, and here's why. A semi-dry has extra seals around the wrists and around the ankles and around the neck, and usually it will come with an integrated hood. What it does is it reduces the amount of flush through the system. So when the water does come in, it doesn't allow it to go out as quickly, so it allows it to warm up and keep you a little warmer.
What temperature is
The warmest we'll see it surface 52 to 54. At depth, we'll usually see 45 to 48. Dry, yes, absolutely. I don't drive Yellowstone in anything other than a dry suit. I have dove it in a semi-dry. It was pretty uncomfortable. I have semi-dries. They're nice. Key point for you: if you are one of the lyre divers and you are in a semi-dry, don't pee in it at the beginning or at the end of the dive. Wait, if you have to urinate, pee at the beginning of the dive because it at least give it some chance to flush out. In a semi-dry, it doesn't flush nearly as quickly. It's just pro tip: pee at the beginning of the dive, not the end. Just saying. And then finally, when things start getting really cold, my personal record for coldest dive, I dove the river when it was 29 degrees and flowing. A dry suit is definitely awesome. Usually when I dive a dry suit, I usually start with, in the summertime, something like this, and then I put my base layer on, then I put the dry suit on. You literally, exactly what it sounds like, you are dry. So, in fact, that looks a lot like one of my dry suits. So, the other key thing about this is anybody ever dove a wetsuit before, any type of wetsuit? How easy was it to descend in your wetsuit? Exactly, it floats, right? So, if you have a catastrophic failure and you are wearing a wetsuit, you will have at least some modicum of flotation. So as a safety procedure, you have the ability to float a little bit better in a wetsuit than without a wetsuit. Simple enough. Now, have you ever seen anything in the ocean that might bite, sting, or poke you or cut you? Wetsuit might protect against that? A little bit? Yeah. So even a 3 mil, I have a personal story I was diving with Brett in the Caribbean in Roatan, and he decided he was going to wear a shorty and look all cool and sexy, and rubbed against some fire coral. Whole arm just broke out, bright red rash. It was awesome. I was like, dude, that's why we talk about wearing a full wetsuit. But couldn't tell him at the time, but he does it now. So it has a modicum of protection. So your primary role with a wetsuit is keep you warm, keep you safe, right? Keeping warm during a dive is a huge thing. It protects you, it protects the gases we're gonna talk about later on, and makes you a safer diver. The next thing is gives you some flotation if you have a catastrophic failure. The third thing, it protects you from nicks, cuts, and abrasions. I would much rather rub a hole in my wetsuit than my arm. So That's my suggestion for the day. Next slide, please. We talked about the first stage and the second stage already, so let's go ahead and skip past that. So, our tanks. Every tank is required to be marked. Whoa, sorry about that, bud. To be marked. David, you want to come talk to us about the markings on a tank? I'm going to turn your mic on.
So every tank's going to have a bunch of markings. You got the big version there. You're going to have your first one up is either CTC, DO, or DOT. DOT, anybody know what that is? Anybody here drive on the road? Department of Transportation, absolutely. You want to take these tanks somewhere, they have to be DOT certified in the US. CTC is Transport Canada. So it's the Canadian version of the DOT. Next markup is going to be the 3AL. It tells us that this is an aluminum tank made out of the 3AL alloy. Then we're going to have our pressure rating. Being the United States, we're probably going to have it in PSI. Most scuba tanks are rated to 3,000. We do have a couple of high pressure tanks, but for this class we're going to stick with just the standard pressures, which are 3,000 PSI or 200 bar. Then you're going to have your tank information and serial number. It's got the P2640001 there, and then we're going to have a manufacturing date. 10/12, pretty standard, month, year, right? The catch is that date is very, very important because these tanks are only good for 5 years at a time. Okay, that's an important thing to remember. So after that 5 years, you have to send it off and have it revisualed. And so this one was originally stamped here, 292, and then it has been since redone, and it was last hydro tested in 8/21. So this one has another 3 years on it. And then the last thing that it's going to have is your size. Standard aluminum tank for scuba diving is the aluminum 80. That's what you'll almost always get pretty much worldwide, is just your aluminum 80. And as you start getting into more advanced diving, deeper diving, you'll want bigger tanks. But for the most part, for recreational, you'll just be just fine with the 80s. That is an 80 cubic foot tank. So, and then if you ever decide to get into the deeper diving, the more advanced diving, you can actually learn to calculate your breathing rate. We'll talk a little bit about it in this class, but that'll become a lot more important as you start planning your own dives. Next slide. On every tank, in addition to the hydro, every year it gets a visual inspection. They take the valve off, check the seals, all that stuff, and then they stamp it. And they also use that as a bit of free advertising. So whatever shop does it will leave their sticker on it. This is one of ours, obviously. And that visual inspection is good for 1 year. Next. Or no, go back to that one. If it fails a hydro, you just got a really nice doorstop. Or whatever you can find a use for it, but at that point it can no longer be pressurized for air. So with hydro testing, what they do is they fill it with water instead of with air, and then they overpressure it and check for any bulges, leaks, deformations, that kind of thing. And they basically make sure that tank is safe to fill to that 3,000 PSI, because usually when you fill these tanks, you're standing right beside them. And I don't know if you've ever stood near a tire when it blows out, but at 30 PSI, your tire is going to scare you pretty badly when it blows. At 3,000 PSI, it might just scare you clear to death. So the other thing on this visual inspection sticker, we actually have a different color. If you want to dive safer, deeper, longer, we do offer a nitrox class. Enriched air nitrox is a enriched blend of oxygen and nitrogen gives you more oxygen per breath. For that, you need an O2 clean tank and an O2 clean regulator set for the gas blends that you're diving. If you want to take a nitrox class, if you take it in combination with the open water class, I believe it's $100. So if that's something that you're interested in, that doesn't add any classroom time. It's a virtual class. Ben can teach it to you right in the comfort of your home. Just get with him before the end of the class so that we can get you into that nitrox for the open water portion. Now the next slide. Buoyancy compensator, we've already gone through that. You went through the whole thing, right? I stepped out for that part. Okay, next. Information system, we covered that. SSI Equipment Service Program, I mentioned this briefly. SSI does recommend servicing your equipment once a year before any big dive trips. You want to make sure that your equipment's well taken care of. Any equipment that you buy for yourself, it will come with service recommendations. Some of the equipment can go as far as 2 years. Some of it's even less than that. If you have a flashlight, charge your batteries before every dive. Just little things like that. Just make sure you take the best care of your equipment. Anytime you get out of the water, coming out of a chlorinated pool, coming out of the ocean especially, make sure you rinse your equipment down. Just rinse it out with water, drain the water out of it, and we'll cover all of that as part of the pool session. But you want to make sure to take the best care of your equipment, because then the equipment can take the best care of you. Adaptation to the aquatic environment. Fun fact about the diving underwater, you probably know this as a marine biologist, colors start to disappear. Have you ever gone deep enough to see that? How far are you into the marine biology? I don't know. Huh? Oh, you're not even in college yet. You just want to be a marine biologist. Okay, I misunderstood. Okay, well, congratulations. It's a fun program. So you'll be ahead of the ball then. Colors disappear at depth. So something that you'll notice is a lot of the gears that we've got lots of pinks and yellows and greens and whatnot. But the reds actually disappear as shallow as 15 feet. And it just keeps disappearing from there. It just works through the Roy G. Biv. Reds disappear at 15 feet, oranges at 30, yellows at 60, and at 90 feet, your greens start to disappear, and all you get left is just blues and purples. I think he pointed it out while he was going through the video a little bit. Everywhere the light shined, the colors came back. You guys remember seeing that? And that happens at very shallow depths. I think there's another video not too far down that shows that even better. Go ahead and next slide. Accessory system, keep going. So this picture shows it awesome. We've got blues and greens and all that fun stuff. That flashlight right there, you have that one here? No?
I don't.
I just saw you playing with the light. But what color is that flashlight? Can anybody tell? It is hot pink. Like hot pink. There's a little bit of light coming from the camera operator, which is why you can just barely see that little pink strip. But it is a very bright pink that at depth looks blue. So that's an awesome illustration of it. You got all the blues and greens left there, and where you see the light, that's the true color of the thing. So
Go back. Dive bag, spare items.
oh, dive bag and spare items, absolutely. So dive bag, once you start piling up a lot of stuff, it's a lot to carry. A good dive bag is awesome. My big regret is I didn't get one with wheels. So that's my recommendation for you, is get one with wheels, because even if you don't plan on diving much, you'll always end up with more things than you planned on. But I mean, you start with a BC and a reg set. You got your mask snorkel fins. Then you start adding weights on top of that. You start adding in your computers and your lights and your mask anti-fog, and it really does pile up super quick. So a good dive bag is very important. And then spare items. In the military, they say that 1 is none, 2 is 1. And it's very true in diving as well. Things go wrong all the time. batteries die, whatever. If you have two computers and the battery dies on one, you can keep diving on your other computer. If your flashlight batteries die and you have a second light, you can keep diving on that other light. But light disappears very quickly under the water, especially out at Ryrie. Last time we were out there, 40 feet, it was pitch black. Yeah, so it gets really dark at 30. By the time you hit 40 feet, you can't see anymore. So if you don't have a light, you're not going past that depth. With a light, really no big deal. It's just like walking in the woods at night. You know, everywhere you shine a light, there's light. Perfect. But you don't want to get down to that, 60-foot mark using a flashlight and then have your batteries go out on you, because now you have to ascend totally blind. So keep spare items. Other great things to do, get a little Save a Dive kit. It has spare O-rings for the tanks, that kind of thing in it. Spare mask strap, spare fin straps, those kind of things, because all of those things can break. You know, we live in Idaho, it's dry. Anybody have anything rubber that broke? Right? Like, it's part of Idaho, it is what it is. So keep a spare of things, because it would be really awful if for one of a 10-cent O-ring you missed out on a $1,000 dive trip. So, okay, back to the basic rules of scuba. Without looking, who can tell me first rule? No looking, you all looked. What's first rule? Continuously. That's the best part about scuba, right? That's why we're all here, because we can breathe underwater. Second rule of scuba. Who's got me? Don't go too fast. Absolutely. Why? You can. You can. Yep. Yep. And those are the most severe ones, so I'm glad you know about those. But you can go as simple as the bends, and you can get a bloody nose. You know, like just mild inconveniences. It doesn't always have to be the most dramatic thing. Third rule of scuba. Buddy system. Absolutely. Always dive with a buddy. Why? Yeah, it's always better to die with other people around, right? Die at all. They carry your spare air for you. It makes it way easier if they carry your tanks for you. Trust me. When we hit Ryrie, you'll know what I'm talking about. That hill, having somebody else carry your spare air is the best thing. All right, proper breathing patterns. Who did the homework? Has anybody signed into their app yet? A couple of people. Have you started doing the homework? Up to 3? Okay. Have you got as far as breathing patterns? We all know we need to breathe continuously. How should we breathe continuously? Yeah, that's the continuously part. But should we breathe? Breathe like a normal person. Ideally, yes. That's a great way to put it. Breathe like a normal person. I think that's probably the best answer I've got for that question. Breathe deep, breathe full. Full in, full out. Full in, full out. That's the absolute best you can get for efficiency. You don't want to sit here and just breathe off the top of your lungs. If you've ever seen a baby breathe, how they breathe with their whole belly, right? Ever heard the term belly breathing? Diaphragmic breathing, yep. So you want to breathe with your whole capacity. Your delivery system, it will give you all of the air you could possibly want. You just have to breathe it. All right, so once we get it into the pool or into the water, we're gonna have to communicate via hand signals. Obviously, nobody's too great at talking underwater. So go ahead and get a couple of basic hand signals. Everybody read what this is. Can anybody read that up there? No. All right, no. So obviously this is a gag slide, but we really do communicate with hand signals. Anybody know what this one means? Are you okay or I am okay? If any of the instructors give you the symbol, it is a question. We will always expect you to reply. What's the symbol?
Are you okay?
Give it back. You're
I am
okay. Perfect. Sorry, I missed the introductions this morning. So I'm glad Steven's okay. All right. How do you say not okay? Well, that's in the dive. How do you say I'm not okay? Be more confident with it. Something's wrong, right? Further than that, you can tell me what's wrong. My ears hurt, right?
What this?
My mask is leaking. Works a lot better if I have a mask on. This? That means let's go down. It really does. I'm not even kidding.
No, I totally.
So, but tell me what's wrong. So, if something's wrong, say, hey, my ears aren't equalizing. All right, well, let's come up a little bit, right? And we'll come up until your ears are okay, and then be like, ears okay, wait. Okay, so this is wait. Just stop. Wait here. Something's happening I need to deal with. You wait. Go up. Okay, this is go up. This is go down a little bit. This is let's descend. This is get to the surface. Okay, so if anybody throws a thumbs up, what do? Go up to the surface. Give a thumbs up in return to say, hey, I'm reading you loud and clear. I'm coming. Okay. Obviously, you don't want to just rocket ship to the surface. We want to ascend slowly, but we are going. Okay on the surface. Everybody knows this is okay under the water. How do you say okay on the surface? You're give a great big, I'm okay. Yep. Just reach out and tap the head. You're really close there. Yep. So when you jump into the water, you remember on the boat, everybody was jumping off real fast. Everybody jumps in the water, turns around, gives a big I'm okay to the boat to say, hey, I hit the water fine, nothing broke, I'm good. How do you say help on the surface? Exactly. Get somebody's attention. All right. So those are the big ones. We're going to quiz those all throughout the rest of the class, okay? We need you to know those ones. The other big things that we do are numbers. So we're going to ask you your pressure, right? So I need you to tell me your gauge pressure. Might be 4 fingers, might be 3. The important thing is I'm patting my palm. I need you to tell me your pressure, okay? And the other thing you're going to do with that is on the front of your hand, you have 1 through 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Everybody knows how to count like that. The back of the hand, we're going to do 6 through 9. There is no 10. We just have 0. So 1, 0 is 10. But the back of the hand, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? So if I show you the back of the hand and I'm counting numbers, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0. Okay? So if we ask you your pressure, you're going to look at your gauge and you're going to say, all right, I'm at 2,800 PSI. I'm at 2,800. Okay? That will take some practice. It's a very important thing to practice because everybody breathes at a different rate. This is something that, especially if you ever dive with your wife, dive with your husbands, the ladies are going to just smoke your husbands almost always. Unless something scares you really badly and doesn't scare him at all, you're going to breathe way less. That's just part of the physiology. So it's really important to keep in contact with your buddy. Hey, check in. How's your pressure doing? Okay. All right, that gives me a good idea of when I need to check in with you again. You want to do the video today? Yeah.
Good job, David. I appreciate you. So, a couple of things. So I got my questions for you guys to start at. Who wants to be able to dive longer? Safer? Less surface interval? More energy after a dive? Well, that sounds pretty good. The Nitrox is for you. So what Nitrox is a higher blend of oxygen in your mix, less nitrogen. Your body's uptaking the extra nitrogen. We teach a course. It takes about 3 hours. We do it virtually via something very akin to Zoom, and you get to do it in your jammies at home. And then on dive day 2 of open water, you'll dive nitrox. I highly encourage it. There's a few courses that I encourage everybody to take that'll cover about 90% of your diving. The first one is nitrox. The next one is deep. The last one is night and limited viz. With those courses, you'll cover about 90% of the diving you'll ever want to do. You'll be able to get to deeper than what, because I'm certifying you guys how deep. Anybody know? 60 feet. I'm certifying you guys to 60 feet only. Okay? With deep dive certification, I can get you to 130. Okay? With night, we can go out and we can see the cool stuff at night. Favorite night dives? There's 3 of them. Maui. I was diving the breakers off of off of our hotel, and we came around, and it was about 9, 10 o'clock at night. Me and my buddy were out, and we came across a squid. And I kid you not, he was this big. He was at least 6, maybe 7 feet long. Not a. I got close enough to him that he was as long as I was. So he's about this big around. He was the prettiest shade of maroon you've ever seen in your life. Absolutely. Hung around with him for probably 4 or 5 minutes, and he just stood there. He was just like, whatever. He had no desire. After about 5 minutes, I was like, I don't want to see if something else is around here. There was this big square reef right there, and I told my dive buddy, I says, I'm gonna, go around the reef. And I went around the reef. I saw some other cool stuff. I think I saw an eel, some coral shrimp. Came back around, and there was another squid, the same size, same width, but he was royal blue. Beautiful, beautiful royal blue. And I looked at my dive buddy, I'm like, and he said, just one. It was the same squid. He had changed colors in that short amount of time to a royal blue. Neat, neat, neat experience. Diving Roatan, we were doing a night dive, and same dive. There was 2 things that happened on this side that were pretty cool. My wife and I are kicking along, and our flashlights have a red feature on them. So you kick it twice, and it goes to red, and the sea life cannot see you. And we're cruising along at about 60 feet over some coral. We came across a lobster this big. I was thinking butter, and it was garlic. It sounded pretty amazing to me. He had a tail about like this, and he's just cruising along, just doing his thing, just nice little spiny point lobster. We came up and we followed him for the longest time, and then finally I reached over because he didn't notice. He was out and about, and the only time they come out is at night. And I reached out, I touched one of his antennae, and it was great because and then he started his little cruise again. And then I touched his other antennae. He stopped. He could not see. It was just awesome to mess with the lobster, and it's probably not the best thing story to tell, but it was fun to just give him a little tap on the antenna and have him. There's something out there. He was totally freaked. We were on the same dive. We went over and we came to a reef, and there was this octopus, and he was doing his octopus walk. If you've never seen an octopus walk, it's pretty freaking amazing. And he's feeling stuff, and he's touching stuff to find out if it's food. And he came across a big piece of brain coral like this, and all of a sudden he touched it for about a second, and he completely engulfed it, this brain coral. And he's like, nope, that's not good. And he went off. And then he changed from purple to gray, and then from gray to blue, and then from blue to brown in the same dive. And he touched a fish about like this, and all of a sudden he was over top of it. You can see this fish like fighting for its little life, and all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah? And he ate the fish. It was super cool. So night dives are some of my favorites. We do night dives in September, October out here at Ryrie during the salmon spawn. And the salmon spawn is a lot of fun because the kokanee get about this big, they turn red, and they get pretty stupid because they're getting ready to die and they're fairly lethargic, and they will come right here. So fun dive. I had 2 groups of divers. I was at the stairs. There was 2 divers over here, 2 divers over there, and I was done. I was tired. I'd been diving all day too, and I could see their lights. And I was probably 18 feet on a safety stop, just zenning out. Like, see the lights, they were safe, everybody was good. They were certified divers anyway. I was just there just to kind of guide and make sure everything was good. And I stopped, and I turned my light off, closed my eyes, and I just breathed. For about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, just kind of zenned out, just enjoying the sound of my bubbles. And all of a sudden, I just thought, it's time. I turned my light off, and there was a salmon right here. And he's just sitting there. And I'm like, and I watched him, and he watched me, and then I thought, you're coming with me. I was thinking dinner. And so I grabbed him, and he was a good size. He was probably like this. I grabbed him, and you don't realize how strong and slimy they are until you try and get a hold of one. And I got him, and I was trying to get him to the surface, and he got away at the surface. So the next week we went out, and we were in this hole, and I found there was a salmon at the bottom of the hole, and there was salmon at the top of this hole. And we got smart. I had this little net with me, and I'd got a new fish stringer. I'm not really a fisherman, but I got this fish stringer that had the kind of the hooks that you use for a bathroom curtain. I put it in my little pocket, and I caught this one, and my wife and I tried to get it out of the net and onto this fish stringer. The first time I'd ever used this fish stringer, and all of a sudden he whips away, and he went over and hit the other salmon. They both went away, and I was like, I was in the dive, and I was like, dang it. I was determined I was going to bring one of those salmon up. I found out you don't eat the red salmon because they're dying, and it's not good meat anyway. But I like salmon. I was willing to try. So, and this kind of, I found out actually you're not supposed to do that either. You're not supposed to catch the salmon. That's kind of illegal. I didn't know that at the time, but it's fun because they'll get right here and they're like, what are you? And the perch get kind of tripped out by the light. So the perch will come up on your light, and it's kind of fun to put your light down and have the perch kind of, and just kind of figure out what your light's about. So night diving, a lot of different stuff comes out. One of my favorite times is night diving. So the moral of the story is nitrox is safer, better, longer dives, shorter surface intervals, more energy after your dives. Definitely more important bottom time. It's a lifetime certification. It's not rocket science either. If you can add 2 and 2, you can dive nitrox. And then, like I said, deep and night and limited viz are definitely great ways to go. It'll cover just about everything you want to see. So tonight we're going to go through some stuff. So let's go ahead and play our video. Some of the videos I like, some of them I don't like as much. So what we're going to go through is what's called the mask drills. Excuse me while I get my own mask that I really like. You all will be wearing a dive mask, and we're going to go through 3 separate mask drills. We're going to do very basics tonight, but next week you're going to be required to do all 3. You're all going to put your mask on. And one of the key things that when you put your mask on, please keep it away from your ears. You want to keep about a finger's distance above your ears. Anybody have any idea why? Huh? Don't hurt yourself. Well, it is absolutely right.